So, Ian,
Yes?
recap on the Ferris wheel.
The Ferris Wheel Classic Rock Show. That's what we used to call it way back 30 years ago. But we changed that. We changed that because, well, we ran into some tax problems, and we decided to call it the Ferris Wheel Serious Rock Talk Podcast. You know, you cannot escape the tax man. So, no, seriously, ladies and germs, it widened our parameters, self-imposed parameters. And we just widened the road. We can put more traffic down it. The name better represents where we're headed, down the long and winding road of podcasting. So it's the maturation. We also launched a Facebook group, Serious Canadian Classic Rock, which is doing very well.
Courtesy of Wheeler, who's taking the lead on that one.
He's
so
doing
a
big shout out.
No, it's a lot of work to do these groups, and it takes time, and
Yeah.
we all chip in together.
It takes time and effort. And in 2021, we covered a lot of ground. And here's some subjects. It's not an exhaustive list, but I say this because I want to show you the range. India's influence on classic rock. Bon Scott versus Brian Johnson. That's what they say in Quebec. Okay.
Bon Scott, boy, Mr. Bon.
CR, classic rock songs written quickly, how 101 classic rock bands got their names, John Lennon's top 10 lyrics, Van Halen, explain the lineup changes, why Pet Sounds is one of the best albums ever, how George Harrison's concert for Bangladesh changed rock music, classic rock in Canada, 3 parts, The Doors, People Really Are Strange, best classic rock songs to cover, great record producers, suggestive lyrics, 4 producers you should know, The Monkees, which classic rock faces should be on Mount Rushmore, LA Woman, introducing the mini pod, which is kind of a 1.5 minute promo pod that we put out, final concerts of rock gods, top 20 reunion tours, the Guess Who, Canada's best band or what? Rock and roll frontmen, who were the great ones? 5 factors that broke up the Beatles, and that this is Zoomcast, which you can pick up off our homepage on our site. In addition, we have a collection of new sponsors. You can go visit them on our site. Everything is linked, so visit our website. So that's kind of a synopsis of where we were in 2021. And with that, I'm just going to say, what's next on the agenda, gentlemen?
Next on the agenda, Dr. Clark, you're talking about Bill Wyman closes restaurant in London, Sticky Fingers, which was open from 89 to 2021.
That's true. I read about it. What killed it off was COVID. Never heard of that. COVID killed it off. And apparently it wasn't a bad place. He had lots of rock and roll memorabilia there. And it was a meeting place for rockers in town. And it's too bad. That said, I mean, Bill is in his 80s now. Maybe he got a little weary, and it was a good excuse to pull the plug. You never know. Maybe he tried to sell it and he couldn't. I don't know. But it was a landmark. Yeah, that's kind of a drag. So that's the way it goes.
Although that's true of a lot of landmarks.
I know.
People think, oh, it's a legendary place. Everybody wants it. But in reality, when it comes time to put up or shut up in terms of money, not a lot of people
are ready to.
It's a really good
point. I know.
All right, so the next one we have here is vinyl songs. So the beginning of July, so 6 months ago, on the July 4th weekend, Sirius XM, the classic vinyl station on satellite, did the top 400 songs of classic rock.
Yeah.
And they had the fans choose between, they have to vote for their top 25 songs out of a list of 673 songs. So when I sent you the list,
you pay me, I'll do that.
So I sent the list off to Ian. He's like, "What the hell is this?" I said, "We're not going to talk about 673 songs."
All I saw was the title, classic vinyl. Yeah.
So, anyways, after that was said and done, all the people that voted for the the number 3 song, top 3. Number 3 was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Big surprise.
Yeah, really.
Number 2, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin.
I'm shocked.
And then the number 1 song that they did for that weekend was Hotel California by the Eagles.
Really? Talk about playing it safe.
So when I went onto the list, I highlighted a couple of songs. I think I got 7 that I chose that I would have put in there. I got no problems with Stairway to Heaven because I really love that song, and I got no problems with Hotel California.
No.
Me and Rhapsody, I don't have any issues with it, but I think it's just been outdone right now.
Yeah.
Okay? So I decided to go down the little list, and I said, okay, who am I going to choose? Well, why not Come Together from the Beatles? You know, it's from their best album, Abbey Road. You know,
Yeah.
and
Pretty-
I figured it would be something that gets you going. The other one that I decided to choose, and I had to go through the list here. Bear with
God.
me. Yeah,
I
it was
think
a
you
big-
killed half a tree doing that.
Yeah, I did kill half a tree, unfortunately. I decided to take Lagrange by ZZ Top. What, you don't like that one?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Get two, three hits.
You know. And then I decided to take More Than the Feeling by Boston. I really like that song, I'm sorry. It's just, then I figured, why not Paint It Black by the Stones? How can you not like that drum? You know? Trying to practice that and getting there eventually. I figured Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynyrd. People tend to forget this song. That was one, Sweet Home Alabama. Even Give Me 3 Steps is good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a well-known song.
So it was pretty good. Then I decided, I'm a big Aerosmith guy, so why not Sweet Emotion?
Sweet.
Because it's all done with the guitar. It's all
Yeah, no,
done.
exactly.
Then I'm kind of like stuck on this one for a while. The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down.
That's an
Virgil Cane's
amazing
my
song.
name. I served on the Danville train.
Yeah.
Come on, like, how can you not like that song?
I know. That's a pretty amazing song.
And then the last one that I ended up choosing, which is no surprise, Whole Lot of Love by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice, especially the Leonard Skinner one. Or I'm sorry, the Allman Brothers one. Was the Allman or the Leonard you got?
Leonard's.
Yeah, that's an interesting
Simple
choice. Yeah, Simple Man's a good song, but you wouldn't expect that. I mean, it wasn't a huge hit.
And this is not a diss, though, against a serious XM, but there is something slightly bizarre about them having a vinyl channel on the Ultimate Digital
I know.
system.
Well, it's good because now it's tying into your topics.
Well, wait a second.
Oh, yeah.
I went through that list too, and I've got 5. And what I did here is, what songs can I hear and not be tired of? Sorry, when I hear Stereo from Heaven, I just usually zone out, or Hotel California, I just turn it off because I've heard it so many times. I need to be institutionalized. These are the ones 5 here that if I hear them, I leave it on. So that's my little test.
All right.
Layla by Derek or Eric and the Dominoes.
Really? After he sued a poor little old woman
Yeah, and got $4,000
for an $11 bootleg, which probably was crap.
This is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention to the song, not the singer. Most of these people are dreadful. Love, Rain, or sorry.
You can actually say that of artists in every
yeah.
field. Like, some of the greatest artists were horrible human beings.
Some of the greatest conductors are dreadful. Love, Rain, or Me by The Who. I'm never tired of hearing that song. Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf. Never tired of hearing it. Mississippi Queen by Mountain. Leslie West. I never heard. And What a Fool Believes by the Doobie Brothers. I bought the album in '77. I've never tired of that song. It's a magical song.
I would have taken China Grove or Long Train Running. You know?
I'm sure. I mean,
But I just like those ones, you know.
sure.
So now that we're talking about, I love your knock on the digital platform that we have
Right.
going on.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it ties into now the next things going down, which is actually, well, Wheeler, you're going to be talking about the next 3. So turntable sales are up 46%. True or not true?
True. And it's about time, because there was this really bizarre situation where vinyl records sales were up systematically. They've been for at least the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're now outselling CDs for the first time.
It's weird.
Well, it's a combination of two things.
I know.
One, people are still buying vinyl records and they're not buying CDs anymore. And
Streaming.
they're streaming.
But interesting you said that during Christmas time, looking at all the flyers. They're selling CD players again.
Yes, that's true.
Weird.
It's kind of weird.
My issue, though, with both these situations is a lot of the record players out there and a lot of the CD players out there have completely negated what we used to call mid-fi. So you had lo-fi, mid-fi, hi-fi.
Yeah.
So everybody's heard the term hi-fi. Usually when we're talking about turntables, hi-fi means rich man's wet dream, which means you've probably invested the same amount you would have invested in a Lamborghini in your sound system. You have speakers about the height of Dr. Clark.
Yeah.
You've got a turntable made out of granite or something, one of these
I wish.
exotic things. And you used to have what they call mid-fi, which meant basically great workhorses. So
Pioneer,
Torrens,
yeah.
Dual.
Duels everywhere.
So basically, if you go to garage sales, there are still some of these available because everybody had a Dual or a Torrens.
Oh, we did.
And these machines were really great. Then you had the Radio Shacks and the low end. But even back then, the lo-fis were still in some cases really decent machines.
They kept good time. You could throw a strobe on them, and they kept good time.
Whereas now, same thing's happening with CDs. You've got the really expensive record players, so it's really hard to justify in 2020. Well, we're going 2022 now. To pay
just a few hours, actually.
Just a few hours. So a lot of the CDs out there start at like 1,500.
Ouch.
Or you have the ones 200 and lower.
Well, you can go really low, like
you can
$40.
You can go $40. So what you have to know, folks, a lot of people argue out there it's zeros and ones and it doesn't matter. That's not completely true. The quality of the laser that's in your machine,
how many bits it is.
How many bits. And there's also what is called a DAC, so a digital to analog converter. And if you cheap out on the really S-word ones, because we don't want our ratings to go... The soft ones. I mean, you're still going to get some sound out of it. Yeah. It's just not going to be the full-on sound you can actually get from a CDs, because we can knock CDs on CDs a lot, but they still sound really good. And unlike
some of them do,
vinyl records, you don't have to clean them when you want to listen to music.
That's true.
It's
They're
really
so convenient.
They're convenient. My vinyls are always clean.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, most people...
You're a good boy.
You're a good boy. That's the thing. A lot of people out there are very dirty. But
that's the way we like
so, yeah, no, it's great news. I find that finally turntable sales are up because a lot of people were buying records as decoration for their rooms, basically, or as a fetishist object that they...
And what were they playing them on?
No, exactly, they weren't playing them. So what's the point of having music if you're not going to listen to it?
Yeah, if you own a car, drive it. I mean, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
So that's your take.
That's my take.
Yeah, I'm hearing cocktail music.
Oh, I hear it too. I thought we got some sound.
Oh, hello.
And now it's time for Ian's Knock. A little segment we like to call Affairs with Rock Show, where Ian himself will rant and rave on books, reviews, musicians, artists, people, or whatever just does not go his way that day. Who knows? You might be on Ian's Knock, 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 Knock.
I think I'll leave 2021 by knocking one guy who has written a handful of great songs and a ton of mediocre ones. I know that includes about 90% of all rock and rollers, but this guy is so good at the game that he has a room named after himself in one of Paul McCartney's mansions. And of course, Paul McCartney's the god of this. He is so good that he begs for special mention and harassment. With those clues, you might be asking, does he mean Sting? No, I don't. But good guess. I'm talking about Bruce Springsteen, who's been screaming into a microphone since 1942 or something. I know many of you are thinking, good Lord, he's not going after Bruce, not Save the Planet Bruce, not close friend of Obama Bruce, not equestrian champion daughter Bruce, not 4-hour super energy shows Bruce. Yes, that Bruce. So why does he bug me? Because, ladies and gentlemen, somehow, and I don't know how it happened, I am forced to see behind the clever facades. Kind of remove Bruce's many masks and sideburns and say, aha, so this is the real person I had before me. Look, every performer adopts a facade. I get that. Do you think Neil Young just happens to dress like a homeless person? As Dolly Parton said of herself, it cost a lot of money to look this cheap. They'll do anything. Rock and rollers changed their names. Joan Marie Larkin became Joan Jett. You guys can help me with this one. Who's the original Stephen Victor Talarico?
Steve Tyler.
Okay, Marvin Leaday becomes Meatloaf. And Murray Bloomberg becomes Bruce Springsteen. I'm joking, of course. I'm joking. Anyway, what I'm talking about is the personas that he's adopted, like costumes. First, there was the leather-clad street kid. Tough, but with a heart of gold. Scruffy, but strangely clean. And he sang about the streets in a kind of West Side Story padded glamour, one without poverty or violence, just a place where the jets meet the sharks, and a lot of girls are named Wendy, and the boys drive hot rods on Saturday nights. So in other words, he wrote about an imagined place, a movie, a fantasy. It never existed. Fine, so far I can live with it, I can accept it, that's what happens. But then he moved on to a kind of street-level Woody Guthrie, schlepping all the worries of the working man, a multimillionaire middle-aged rocker beleaguered by blue-collar angst. In other words, he cast himself as the lead character in all these goofy movies he made. And it's embarrassing. That would be like Paul McCartney walking around all the time in a Sgt. Pepper's uniform. They'd take him off to the rubber room. Then there was a strange commingling of faux 1950s sideburns greasers with 1940s hobo chic. In younger days, 1970s and 80s, Springsteen couldn't be interviewed without droning on about a kind of nostalgia for America or Americana. He even spoke sometimes in a weird hybrid accent, part Oklahoma, part Idaho farmyard. And he's from New Jersey. Bob Dylan, by the way, used to do the same thing. He's from Minnesota. And he became, I don't know why these guys try to talk like they're farmhands. And he became increasingly political, which is his right, but quickly induces irritable bowel syndrome in anyone with half a brain. That's right. I get my political input from Bruce Springsteen. And on a side note, I get my COVID input from the learned epidemiologist, Ted Nugent.
I thought you were going to say Eric Clapton.
Yeah, I think you're going to say Clapton next. I was going with Clapton.
He'd be better. As I said, all artists have images. That goes with the territory. I get it. Maybe what bothers me are the images that Springsteen has chosen to adopt and maneuver to zillionaire superstar status. All the fake humility. Now that isn't it. I think it comes down to a feeling. And the feeling is that I'm being hustled by a really smart, gifted hustler. A fast Eddie Felson, for those of you who know the Scorsese movie. Bruce wasn't born to run. He was born to sell. In the USA. And that, my friends, is Ian's last knock of 2021. I bid you adieu. Merci.
And I have to say, my favorite dig at Bruce Springsteen was done by Michael Moore in his movie with John Candy, Canadian Bacon.
Yeah.
Where there are three guys in a truck, actually, trying to get into Canada. And they're singing Born in the USA to pump themselves up, and they realize the only thing they know about that song is the chorus. Which I think is true of a lot of guys
really
out there.
Good. Yeah, you're right. What other words does it have? Anyway, I want to get that off my chest.
All right. Wheeler.
Yes, sir.
Vinyl sales are up and streaming is down?
Yeah, so that's the weird thing about the last year. The year started out weird to begin with. So numbers were in streaming services were down as early as February, all across the board except in one musical genre, which was classical music.
That's really weird.
So people bought more vinyls than classical music?
No. People streamed a lot of classical music, which is the
older.
Well, there's some of that, but the worst part of it is it's a type of music that's really hard to find on, first of all, on streaming services. And if you've ever listened, for example, if you're a fan of Beethoven, you want to listen to the Ninth Symphony, that's all fine and good. But the problem is, then you have to say the orchestra, the maestro. So there's all that bunch of information you don't need in rock, rap, or any other style and genre. So it's really bizarre that genre went up.
Incredible.
Interesting.
But as the year went on, the numbers went down a little, and vinyl sales were up. So there is that question: are people tired of having easy access to music to the point where it just becomes?
Well, that's a really interesting
wallpaper.
Next on the list, Wheels. You're talking about your favorite album, 50th anniversary of George Harrison's "All Things Must Pass."
So we mentioned it earlier in the season. And I commented on the quality of the reissue. But I have to say, it's really one of those albums. I know it's a legendary album. I know it's historically significant. But I really can't stand it anymore. There are a few good songs on there.
I never really liked it.
I have it, and it's okay.
It's okay.
After My Sweet Lord, and what's the other one? That's a good song.
Oh, the other one is...
All Things Must...
what's the name of it? He wrote in the Beatles era.
Which goes to show that
forget.
that's his heyday, really, the Beatle era.
He peaked. Sorry.
He peaked. So yeah. So I mean, if you have it in your collection, it's a good thing to have. It's an historical album. But let's face it, it's not the album you will go to on a night where you want a great sounding record from beginning to end. So I recommend people have it as a touchstone. It is something you'll listen to maybe once a year, if that. But and the reissue, like I said, was really good. But to me, it's one of those. I'd go for the concert in Bangladesh before I'd go for that one. Actually,
that. Even that's kind of torturous. Bangladesh.
That is, I like that. I like the way you said that. That's it.
That's it.
I'm hearing cocktail music again.
Oh, well, that's a problem. I can call the landlord this time.
And now, Yes or No with Ferris Kennedy, the segment where the sick, drug-addled mind of Mr. Kennedy forcibly asks Dr. Clark and medicated Wheeler yes or no questions about classic rock, and you get to hear the sick, drug-addled answers.
Makes my knees freeze.
So obviously in 2021 we still have yes or no, and a lot of people like the yes or no's, but we kind of modified it.
We evolved.
No.
And we went to Kennedy's Corner, and Kennedy's Corner has different varieties. It has yes or no's, who's better, who do you prefer.
Sure.
So today I decided to do who do you prefer guitarist version.
Okay.
And each one of you gets a bonus question which has nothing to do with guitars.
Nice.
Okay? So who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Oh, wow. All right. All right. Wheels, who do you prefer? Alex Lifeson of Rush or Tommy Iommi of Black Sabbath?
Tommy Iommi.
Okay. Who do you prefer? David Gilmour or Carlos Santana?
Ooh,
That's a good one.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
I had to go with Santana.
Ooh, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I would have.
Here's another tough one. Eddie Van Halen or Angus Young?
Oh, Eddie Van Halen.
Okay. Slash or Mick Mars of Motley Crue? I like when you have to think.
Yeah, that's a
weird one.
head scratcher.
Yeah.
Slash, I'd say.
Slash. Mike McCready of Pearl Jam or Chris Shiflett of Foo Fighters?
I know you. Who'd you go for?
Chris.
Yeah, I actually go for Mike. to be honest.
Would you?
Yep.
All right.
Ian's going to talk about this guy later. Randy Bachman or Robbie Robertson?
Ooh.
That's kind of a neat question.
Hey, you
It's
like
kind
that?
of neat. Yeah, that's neat.
I like the significance of Robbie, but let's face it, for a good time, you go to Randy.
Yeah, I think so.
Pat Smears of Nirvana and the Foo Fighters or Kim Thayil of Soundgarden?
I just like the name Pat Smear. It sounds like a woman
I know.
hygiene test, really.
Oh my god.
You're going with Pat? Okay.
Yeah.
He's German, by the way. He was born in Germany.
You can't help that.
Greg Lake or Steven Van Zandt?
Bizarre combination.
No,
Greg
I'll take it
Lake.
to yours, sir.
Greg Lake.
I figured you'd go with Greg. Here's an interesting one. Both from Red Hot Chili Peppers. John Frusciante or Dave Navarro?
Ooh. I like a guy who everybody hates, Dave Navarro.
Okay. Yeah, kind of. John Frusciante is kind of lovable. Everyone likes John Frusciante.
Yeah, everybody gets him.
Brian Adams or Kurt Cobain?
Oh, Brian Adams.
That was quick.
It's just I admire Cobain, but just the personality of the guy.
He didn't make it easy to like him.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's a tough man. He was.
Yeah.
Whereas
tough
Brian Adams, he's just easy.
He's
like
very Canadian.
Zach Wilde or Kirk Hammett?
Kirk Hammett.
So you like the Metallica better?
Yeah.
Okay. Randy Rhoads or Malcolm Young?
Ooh. Malcolm Young.
And the bonus question for you, sir.
Okay.
Which tour do you prefer? The Roger Waters' The Wall or Roger Hodgson's Breakfast in America?
The Wall.
The Wall. Dr. Clark,
I may help you.
who do you prefer?
Yes.
Jeff Beck or Jimi Hendrix?
Oh, I'm gonna. Please, God, this can't be happening.
See, even my dog is riled up on this
See
one.
the poor dog. The dog's saying, "I don't know, it's someone." I'm gonna go with Jimi Hendrix, but that actually hurts.
It hurts?
Yeah, it hurts.
This one here might hurt. Pete Townsend
Yeah,
or Keith Richards?
Keith Richards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's one that's Eric Clapton or George Harrison.
Oh, you.
See, I went with guys I know he doesn't like.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Eric Clapton. God help me.
Dwayne Allman
Yeah.
or Stevie Ray Vaughan?
Oh wow. I'm gonna. Ouch. These are really good. These are really good. You did a good job. I'm gonna go with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
This one here, I kind of took a guess or a stab at it, but I don't know where you're gonna go. Jimmy Page or Mick Taylor?
Wow. I mean, that's a really good one too.
Because I know he likes both of them.
I really like both of them.
He respects both of them.
They're both really amazing players. I'm gonna have to go with Page. I just am.
Okay. Brian May
Yep.
or Steve Stevens of Billy Idol? Remember, longevity on
Yeah,
both is
yeah.
good. And Steve Stevens is loyal to Billy Idol. He hasn't gone anywhere else. He's underrated, by the way.
I'm gonna go with May, but I know his work more.
Okay. Neil Young
Shut up.
or Keith Scott? So this is Brian Adams' guy from Dudes.
Yeah, this is called entrapment.
Because I like both of them, right?
know,
Remember that. I like both. It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna go with Neil Young only because I know his stuff better, but I could easily be talked out of it.
Here's one for you. John Lennon or Robbie Krieger?
His guitar player. Oh, Robbie Krieger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits or Steve Vai?
Oh, I'll go with Knopfler. I thought it was really creative.
Okay.
Like this, amazing.
I'm not too familiar with their material. I know who they are, but Les Paul
Yeah.
or B.B. King?
Wow. I'm gonna go with B.B. King, but Les Paul. That's what they got the Les Paul guitar. I mean, him and Mary is Mary. I think his wife was Mary.
I think so.
Yeah, Mary Ford. Yeah.
Joe Perry
Yep.
or Richie Sambora?
I thought you were going to say Joe Pesci.
Are you looking at me? What are you laughing? What's funny?
I would go with Perry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I made this one a little bit funny for you. Timothy B. Schmidt or Glenn Fry? Because you can't really hate either one of them.
No, that's it.
Schmidt is not hateable. It's just anyway. I go with Schmidt.
Really?
Oh yeah.
All right. And the bonus question for you, sir, is which song do you prefer? The Moody Blues is Nights in White Satin or Procol Harlem's A Wider Shade of Pale.
I like
that's hard.
Procol Harlem. This is kind of a indigenous group who sings this.
Sorry, Procol Harum. Sorry.
Procol Harlem.
As long as it's not Proctal.
That's what the Globetrotters. I'm gonna go with as Peter Frampton said just recently, "Water Shade of Pale" is one of the best songs ever written. Sorry, you can't even touch it. It is just an amazing song.
So you're going with that one?
Yeah.
So that's the same answer. I asked this question to Mike at Crosstown.
Yeah.
And he said probably the Wider Shade of Pale because he's so fed up of hearing Whites and White Satin.
Yes, so am I. But it's Water Shade of Pale it makes no sense as they say those lyrics, but in a way it does. It's so druggy. I love that song. I heard it a few days ago.
I think it was one of my dad's favorites.
Yeah.
It was a good song.
Something about
even
it.
Conquistador is actually pretty good.
Conquistador, your stallion stand. It's just ridiculous.
So that is what I have for the 2021
Excellent.
of
Very, very
Canada's
good.
Corner.
Very, very good.
So this is good. Next on the list,
Yeah.
Ian, you're supposed to talk about Steve Jordan, who's Keith Richards' drummer from his solo band,
That's
who's
right.
filling in for the legendary and late great Charlie Watts of the No Filter Tour of 2021. You had an issue with this?
I had a little bit of an issue. My issue is this. That they validated this by saying when Charlie was sick, he said, it's okay, you can go ahead with the replacement drummer and go on the tour. And Steve Jordan's name came up because everybody knew him. He knew the Stones song, so off they went. But that doesn't really validate what they're doing. Ladies and germs, I have a problem with tour, and I don't think they should have done it. Famously, Keith Richards once said, when Charlie goes, I go. Well, apparently not. So the two Rolling Bones grown out there, and they play these hits from about 400 years ago, and I'm just tired of it. I just want to shut it down. Pull the plug, it's over. As a friend, it's over. That's my take on it.
All right. Next is MTV turned 40 on August 1st, 2021. So as MTV turns 40, it's time to embrace the generation that grew up with it. So a small little piece here by Michael Schneider. He wrote saying that MTV turned 40 on Sunday, August 1st, and it hardly looks like it's aged. Well, that's because it hardly looks like, well,
What it
anything
used, yeah.
anymore. Yeah. So you got to realize, MTV, if you go to the Sirius XM 80s on 8, the channel, they have Alan Hunter, Nina Blackwood, the way she still talks like that. Those are the original VJs are all
Oh, I
there.
think I said, God, too many cigarettes.
Well, probably, because in the 80s you were allowed to smoke in-house, in studio,
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
Filtered.
Sweet.
But that's the thing, remember, back then, cigarettes weren't as polluted as they are today, so...
No, it was,
That's highly questionable.
no, they were everywhere. They were in libraries. Believe me, they're smoking rooms.
So anyways, as it does not look like anything it has become, it's been a cliche for years to complain about what happened to the music on MTV. For the record, the cable network programs a grand total of 1 hour and 10 minutes of music programming a week. That 10-minute Fresh Out live on Fridays as the 1 hour Fresh Out playlist on Saturday mornings. But the music question has been moot since the mid-2000s when videos moved on to YouTube and Vivo. The larger issue is what happened to the programming period on MTV. It's become a zombie channel. And for those of us still rooting for the brand, it's sad. It's a sad sight to see. So it's not only neglected, MTV isn't the only neglected cable channel out there. There are many other channels that this writer had said that have been neglected. Yeah. And the sad part is that because technology has evolved us too far and too quick, it just does not make it the same. I miss MTV. I miss the old Much Music days. I miss the shows of when they used to talk about, they used to, especially in Quebec, we had Musique Plus with Claude Larajotte, was Les Cimetières des CD. So it was a bunch of CDs he would listen to and tell you if they were good or if they were crap.
And if they were crap, he would blow them up.
He'd blow them up, he'd flush them down the toilet,
so
he would
French,
drive a forklift
very
on it.
dramatic.
Yeah. He would do a whole bunch of stuff. So it was kind of,
Toilet.
but it was kind of interesting they had that. And I kind of missed that because Much Music back in the day was literally live VJs. Strongbow got his career there.
Yeah, that's true.
Rick Campanelli.
John Roberts.
John Roberts. What's his name there? Dan Gallagher, who was doing
that
Tarzan.
guy.
Yeah.
Jeannie Becker.
But that's the thing.
Ed the Sock.
Ed the Sock. But the beauty about it is that those channels were worth watching.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was like listening to radio but watching it. And I miss that concept.
Yeah.
So it turned 40 years old in 2021, but yet there was really nothing else happening. It's kind of like dissipated.
Well, I guess you're right. It's gone to YouTube. If I want to see
But there's no context.
Taylor Swift or Dua Lipa, I'll just go to YouTube and watch it there. I don't need MTV.
Yeah.
So it's a direct feed.
So
we are now our own curators.
Yeah, but unfortunately we don't have context often enough. We can like a song, but the thing is with these channels, you had, well, not always, but some VJs were really knowledgeable, and you would discover stuff. That's what, like, our friendship here on our show, we help each other discover new stuff that we would never have touched in 100 years left to our own devices.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that's what's missing. And with the internet, yes, you have like an AI somewhere that's telling you, if you like this, then you'll like this. But it's been proven with Spotify this year is you'll never go outside of a field that's predetermined for you anyways.
Yeah.
So the great thing about some of these VJs, they had an amazing culture and they would introduce you to this great stuff, which you won't get from a computer.
True.
Yeah, I'm mixed on, unlike you guys, I'm mixed on MTV. I thought that when MTV came around, so much attention was paid to the video, coming in, Michael Jackson's Thriller.
10-minute video. It was like a mini movie.
It was directed by
John Landis.
Yeah. So I thought that at the expense of the music, and some guy made a great point, when you look away from the TV, is it still a good song?
No.
So that was the problem with it. It became a visual medium. So I don't have a problem. I can't watch that in my car. So I want to hear what I never watched MTV. I minimize it because I want to hear the song, not watch it. And sometimes, especially if they're attractive, shall we say, participants, it seemed a lot better watching it. And they put it on the car. You go, this is junk. What was wrong with me? Well,
Me too.
you know what I mean. But on the other side of it was a natural outgrowth, and the VJs was a goofy kind of a position, but they were always young, and they looked like they're having fun at City TV in Toronto, and I don't know. I kind of miss that, but I don't know. I'm not nostalgic for it.
So next what I'm doing here on the list, former Red Hot Chili Pepper guitarist Josh Klinghoffer joins Pearl Jam as their touring guitarist. Well, listen, they brought back John Frusciante one more time. This is a third or fourth go at it.
Next time he's out of the grave, they're going to pull his corpse out.
But I'm happy for Josh Klinghoffer because why not? You're going with Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam is an established band. Pearl Jam is unique. They are probably one of the founders of grunge.
Well, plus most guys won't get hired with their last name is Klinghoffer. So
that's it. But that's the thing. So Eddie Vedder announced that they brought in Josh Klinghoffer. They already listed some tour dates. I'm gonna bring it over here. Let's see here. I'll just see what I got here. So Eddie Vedder announced a brief U.S. tour for early 2022. It's an 8-date trek featuring Glenn Hansard as the opener, and it launches February 3rd and wraps up February 22nd in in his town of Seattle. So at the end of the day, they're bringing in Klinghoffer, and why not? He's a seasoned guitarist. He knows what he's doing, and I'm okay with this.
Okay.
I figured it's worth mentioning.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah.
No.
I don't need to read anything else. This is
There we
it,
go.
right?
That's it. You got it.
Klinghoffer found a home,
God bless Klinghoffer.
and he's happy.
A retirement home, but still a home.
Next on the list, David Lee Roth retires. Well, yes, as you guys know, I am sad to hear this because I am a huge David Lee Roth fan.
Bozy bop.
And
Bitty bop.
everyone knows my love for Van Halen pretty well stems up to 85, and then it takes a break, and then when he comes back, I love him again. Don't get me wrong, listen, Sammy Hagar did what he did, but there's nothing that compares to David Lee Roth.
No.
And he has a very, very seasoned career. His resume speaks volumes on his own. Back in the day, he was one of those Hollywood blondes, heartthrobs with the same thing of, Vince Neil of Motley Crue and what's his name from Poison there, Bret Michaels,
Sebastian Bach.
And Sebastian Bach.
yeah.
If you look at him lately, and that's the thing. At least David Lee Roth, all right, he knew when he had to cut his hair because he had to cut it.
Cut it.
He didn't go like Sebastian.
What was left of it, he cut
What
it.
was left of it. But you look at some of these guys that women thought were heartthrobs back in the day, and you look at them today, and they're like saying, "What were we thinking?" And next is Ian. This is so funny. Ian is stupid guitar. So after 45 years, Randy Bachman's 1957 Gretsch guitar was found in Tokyo on October 9th, 2021, and it was stolen in '76 in Toronto. And Ian's like, "I'll talk about buying his stupid big baby."
Yeah, I mean, a big baby even mentioned it. And the guy's talking with an inflated sense of importance that anyone that even cared about your dopey guitar, and he announces it like whatever
second
they
coming.
come across, the second coming of the Holy Chalice. For God's sake, who cares? And they find it in Tokyo. Okay. It
But you
doesn't
have
mean
to
anything.
admire a guitar that travels all that.
How it got in an airplane by
Worth, though? Anyone know?
a 57 Gretsch? I don't know.
Maybe a few hundred.
Probably a few grand. But the
Like
idea,
4,000 or 5,000. Like,
Well, it depends the state, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it may have been found under a rock in Tokyo, but I really don't think it's. Other news, too, I wanted to mention. Don McLean has announced an extensive tour for 2022, celebrating the 50th anniversary of his song, American Pie.
Actually, wasn't there also an item about that because Taylor Swift finally beat the record, American Pie, I can't remember if it's a sales record or...
she released a 10-minute song.
Oh, yeah.
It's good, actually. It's not bad. She did it on Saturday Night Live. So notice, Saturday Night Live, whenever you're a musical guest, they give you 2 slots.
Yeah.
Oh, she didn't one?
They did put it all in one. They gave her 1 slot.
Nice.
It was good though. It was good. The song was good. It's long, but you know what? It's regarding some sort of scarf. I think that Jake Gyllenhaal stole from her whenever they dated. I don't know. That's what it was. Some sort of regarding a red
Come on,
scarf.
Taylor, dig a little deeper.
Like I just want to go on
Compare
one.
that to American Pie.
I want to go to one date with Taylor Swift. Be a perfect gentleman.
So
take
she'll
her
write
for
the
dinner.
song?
Yeah, just write about Kennedy and say, you know, his podcast is the best with his two buddies, and that's it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I mentioned this because I said American Pie, and he's done maybe a few other songs. Okay, how does he get by? Well, he earns approximately $400,000 US a year in royalties on this one song, so he survives this fine. I got this off a music feed. It says, "Cuckoo ka-ching, Mrs. Robinson." Music legend Paul Simon sold his catalog to Sony for $250 million, making it one of the most valuable songbooks in the world. For comparison, Bob Dylan got $325 million. Stevie Nicks, this is puzzling, $100 million for Stevie Nicks. Okay. And Neil Young got $42 million for 50%, which is baffling. And I read yesterday that who got the 500? Bruce Springsteen got 500 stinking million dollars US for his song catalog. So, again, these guys are good at what they do. You don't get there being lazy and dumb.
Well, it all started with Dylan selling his stuff, and everyone just figures might as well start.
Well, it really started with Bowie bonds, where David Bowie did like a reverse mortgage on his royalties and got the money while he was alive. Anyway.
All right, and the topic I have here is the top albums of 1991. So, 71 is 50 years, 91 is 30, and there's some pretty solid albums, and everyone knows why I go bananas for trying to find vinyl of 1991, just because, Wheels, you told me at one point in time they weren't printing them because of sort of arguments with record labels and stuff.
There was that, but there's also the fact that by 1991, vinyl records were on their way out, so it was little bands that were, well, actually, little bands were responsible for saving vinyl presses at all, and also the early 90s, because people were buying CDs and they were really pushing the CDs. So strangely enough, for those of you who now buy vinyl records for the first time, you think of vinyl records as this very expensive thing, whereas now you can have a vinyl record for $35 or $50. Well, back in the 90s, the CD was $20 to $30, and the vinyl record was $10.
Yeah, I don't know. If I would have known back then, I would have bought the vinyl. I was a kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
My dad could influence me on that one.
Exactly.
CDs are really expensive.
So I got here, and this is like a countdown of the, from, worst, not worst, whatever, in order of what was the best one. So, Hole, pretty on the inside. And I like the way they write it here. Courtney Love is one of the most revealed figures.
Reviled figures. Yeah.
True, she had a persona. She was a different kind of cat, and, she was who she was. Anyway, she was a strange individual.
She still is.
What else did I have in here? I kind of just go down my list here. Here we go. Uncle Tupelo, Still Feel Gone. Wheels, ring a bell?
Kind of, but that's a rather obscure one.
It's an obscure one. Dinosaur Jr., Green Mind. Actually, I don't mind Dinosaur Jr. They're kind of big in the grunge field, That's what they're called, Dinosaur Jr.
All 4 albums.
Descendants of T-Rex.
Let's get to some albums that actually we know. Metallica, the Black Album.
Yeah.
Here we go. After evolving from bruising thrash to intricate prog metal on 1988 and Justice for All, Metallica pivoted toward verse-chorus heaviness on their landmark 5th LP. The self-titled Black Album is a masterclass in cashing in without selling out.
That's actually a great description.
Yeah, it is.
They said the California Quartet worked with big-name producer Bob Rock, who did Motley Crue, Loverboy, and David Lee Roth.
A bunch of them, yeah.
Who guided them to more dynamic, dramatic sound. Metal fans salivated over Kirk Hammett's demonic riff in Enter Sandman, and rightly so.
Yeah.
But no one could ever have expected the melodic and emotional range found on signature ballads of Nothing Else Matters and The Unforgiven.
Yeah.
And this was written by Mr. Ryan Reed. Talk, Laughing Stock. Here's one for you, Ian.
Yeah.
Van Morrison, Hymns to the Silence.
Oh, God. It's
No?
just, no.
Okay.
No. Keep going.
Neil Young and Crazy Horse, Weld.
No.
Yes, it's 30 years old. It will be 31 when we hit the clock,
right,
when
yeah.
the clock strikes midnight. But,
Which
you
is
know,
just a few minutes from now, I hope.
Primus, Sailing of the Seas of Cheese. If you're friends of mine like Johnny the Cat Records, loves Primus. Must be a huge Quebec thing. I have no idea what it is. He loves Primus.
Oh no, it was really big in Quebec. I cannot explain it to this
It's
day.
unfathomable.
He loves Primus. He goes bananas. He goes ape shit for it. You know, to use the expression. Massive Attack, Blue Lines. The Jesus Lizard, the album Goat.
Oh yeah, jeez.
What do we got here? Finally. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
A really good
After
one.
several lineup changes, the Chili Peppers settled into their most well-known and reactive lineup with Anthony Kiedis, Flea, Chad Smith, and John Frusciante. Produced by Rick Rubin. That's all you have to say. Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger. Pearl Jam 10. Come on, an iconic album, all right? If grunge veterans Pearl Jam, the only grunge act that continued to thrive into the new millennium. U2, Achtung Baby.
I'd say it's their best.
It's
Yeah,
on,
That hurts to say it, but it's not a bad album.
happy to say I should be getting it shortly from Discogs. I ordered it. I took Wheels' advice. I bought the Spanish pressing instead of the Brazilian one because he said, c'était humide. It was very, the weather in Brazil at the time. But how can you... This album here, actually, they said is probably a follow-up to the Joshua Tree. In a sense. It's one of their best ones.
Yeah.
Number 3 on the list, we have A Tribe Called Quest, The Low End Theory.
I've heard of that.
Number 2, My Bloody Valentine,
Yeah.
Loveless.
Yep.
And then the number 1 album,
Number one album.
1991.
1991.
Nirvana's Nevermind.
I guess so.
And it said in 1991, few had any idea what Kurt Cobain, Chris Novoselic, and Dave Grohl had in store when Nevermind, Nirvana's second album, not only represented a watershed moment for 90s rock, making alternative larger than a niche genre, but made that style the primary musical choice for many teenagers and adults worldwide. Nevermind's importance and influence on rock over the past 2 decades cannot be overstated. Nirvana's seminal album marked alternative rock breakthrough to mainstream music audiences, and the Seattle grunge trio managed to connect to an entire generation of music fans. In case that isn't evident, just take a glance at what musicians have said to them of how important this album is in their lives. And this is a quote by Max Blau, or Max Blow. Well, it's B-L-A-U. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. But
Blow, maybe.
whenever I did my Nirvana piece, they had said there's 3 albums that you need to have in your vinyl collection. Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, Nevermind the Bullocks, Here Come the Sex Pistols,
God.
and Nirvana, Nevermind. I'm not sure why they're putting Sex Pistols in
I think maybe it's to cleanse the palate.
And we have a vinyl review to end off 2021.
Oh, hello.
The music at night, it sounds bright on Wheeler's turntable. He shines a light, he keeps his vinyl in sight, and gives you his magnificent review. Now here's a clue we have for you. It's time for Wheeler's vinyl review.
Yes, well, actually, I decided to do a vinyl rant to end the year.
for you.
So it's a 2-part rant. So there's one part of the rant which is I'm glad we're doing a classic rock show because I've noticed the sales of vinyl records in the last year are essentially all classic rock records. We've talked a lot about them during our review during the year. There's some amazing reissues out there. Joni Mitchell, Black Sabbath. It's a really great time for people who want to have access to these albums, which if you buy the original copies, sometimes, yes, they are better in some ways, but let's face it, Ozzy Osbourne fans were not known to be very gentle on the material back in the day. So having these great reissues can actually give you all the power of vinyl records on your favorite bands. But unfortunately, young rockers now have a heck of a time getting access to presses.
That's true.
And so that's the second part of my rant is although I'm really glad vinyl sales are up, it has had a really bizarre effect on two things. So those of us who've been collecting for a while, and those of us who do not have Kennedy's nose for deals, are paying through the nose for albums that used to be found for 50 cents, if not the free box at your local garage sale. The price of vinyl record in the last year alone has exploded to... And some people have been saying for the last, I think, 9 months, we've reached peak vinyl prices. We're now at $50 for one, not even a double LP, like for one album.
I would never
the new
pay that.
Adele is $50 in some places.
Adele. I heard the guy says that Adele's problem is that she released on vinyl, and that choked up all the vinyl production.
Yes, and
I'm sure you were getting there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Really choked up all the vinyl production.
So what happened with Adele is that Sony went to almost every press in the world.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
they basically vomited money into the pockets of these presses, and they said, "We want Adele, we want a record now, and we wanted in so many numbers."
And so those guys had to shut down all these independents and everybody else that was in there to put this dopey Adele album out, which is just number one for obvious reasons, right? Because there's so many to print it. So it was just it's still going on.
So they mean something. Hold on a second. They've paused production on other albums so they can mass produce Adele.
Exactly.
Which is okay. I mean, they're
Which
in
is not
business.
in
I
and
get
of
it.
itself is not a bad thing.
No.
Like it'll sell for sure. She sells out.
Yeah.
But
It's business.
It's business. But unfortunately, what's happening, and I hope I'm wrong in the coming years, but record labels have not learned from history. They're doing the exact same thing that killed CDs when the internet came in, which is they're trying to bleed music fan dry on a whim that
I know what you mean.
like
I
it's
know-
they think it's a passing fad, and thus they're gonna suck all the money out of your pocket that they can while you're in it.
yeah.
and-
It's a really good point.
And it's getting to be really annoying. And they're also this year we've seen also some records. I'm thinking of the Nevermind reissue that have been cluster. I'm not going to say the end of that word.
Yeah.
In terms of distribution, they promised little record shops, which are the lifeblood of music collectors.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I love the little record shops. I do.
They promised them a few copies. Even guys like that have smaller record shops that are YouTube stars have had problems getting their hands on the Nevermind reissue. People in Australia, they don't. The same thing in Japan, had no problem. But in North America, we are doing to vinyl record fans the same thing we did to them 30 years ago. The same thing CDs did to music fans in the 90s. We're trying to bleed you dry while we can. And that's my year-end rant is please, record companies, stop trying to make a quick buck. Think of the long game.
Yeah, it's really good. And look back, as you say, on the history of CDs. What
Exactly.
happened there? I know.
But now they're coming back.
To a,
CDs to a certain point.
Certain point, I guess,
But
yeah.
you know,
I'm okay, which I'm okay with. I
You-
think
you know-
vinyl went to. I agree with you. Vinyl's gone. They reissue vinyl for a toilet flushing.
but now when
I
you
mean,
buy vinyl, sometimes you'll get a CD with it,
I know.
which is I'm okay with that.
I'm okay,
but it removes any value the CD has. It's
But
the
you're
same.
getting it for the vinyl, really.
No, exactly.
But I know exactly what they're doing. Recently I bought Jefferson Airplane Surrealistic Pillow, the classic, and it came with a code, and I could download the digital online. I thought you're good. You're very good.
My Ozzy Osbourne came like that.
Yeah, you're clever.
Yeah.
So you got me from both sides. It's entrapment. Yeah. But no, you made some great
That's
observations.
a good rant. I like it. Maybe in a new year, maybe for the vinyl reviews, you could also do some rants.
Yeah, vinyl.
I think so.
Vinyl rants. Because you're really fired up, man. This is great. So
No, we're coming to,
This is it.
folks. We're almost at the countdown now.
2021 is going to end,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
2022 will be
Well, we're kicking 2021 in the crotch, and we're welcoming 2022
with a big hug.
with a big
Open
hug.
arms, my dear.
Well, Happy New Year's to everybody.
Yeah, everybody out there, and ring into 2022.
Good health to you.
Listen to some great rock. It's out there.
And have a drink on us.
Yep.
So I'm Ferris Kennedy signing off.
Dr. Ian Clark.
Stephen Wheeler.
Happy New Year's to our listeners.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.